Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. And, now that I've reached South Dakota and I passed through Iowa, even got gas there, got out, no masks, no problem, no hysteria, no stickers, no social distancing warnings, none of that. Zero, zip, zilch. When I checked into my hotel, none of it. Now, this may be different at another hotel, but basically the only thing I saw was keep your shirt, pants, and shoes on while you're in and around the hotel. I didn't know that was going to be a problem, but it has nothing to do with COVID 1984. Now, despite that, the governor is throwing out threats, $2,000 fines if you don't abide by some kind of draconian executive order ruling that says you need to quarantine yourself for 14 days if you come from one of 19 states and over half of the geographic population of the United States. Now, on the flip side of that, there's a man offering a solution, and it's a solution that we should be looking at, and it's called early treatment with Buticide. Okay, one of those steroids that we said in the very beginning, steroids are probably going to be effective against this. Now, I'm going to show you what the media would rather focus on. I'm going to show you the draconian New York laws, and then I'm going to show you Bartlett talking himself. Now, I didn't play the video that I did a video on because it was an interview. I don't play other people's work, but I am going to play what was one of his press conferences in front of media talking about this treatment. And again, it's a tale of two realities. One is fear, 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 lockdown, lockdown, fear, fear, lockdown, lockdown, fear, 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 die, get sick, die, become positive, die, because we don't want to treat you until you're, severe. And that's why their hydroxychloroquine trials failed, and the new NIH study is destined to fail for this treatment. He'll tell you that because they're giving it to patients that are already on ventilators. See, he says, well, why don't we test early, and if somebody shows any symptoms, we give it to them then. I know it sounds nutty. Now, before we go into the specifics, I want to ask everybody over here to thumbs the video up, subscribe, and share. Remember, we're doing it from the road. We're doing it with only your help, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. Big donors need you now more than ever. Just about halfway through the month, not halfway to our goal, but hey, we're making it work. And again, I'm trying to go around the country, and so far, I got to tell you right now, it's pretty normal here in South Dakota. I guess I'll find out over the next few days if anybody is from the area. Feel free to DM me in the Twitter and tell me what I should be doing. So again, thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share. Remember, we lost a bunch of subscribers over the past few days for pointing out some ridiculous things, and I've gotten some, ridiculous responses in my DMs that I'm going to have to go over because, if people think this stuff is proof, I don't know what to say. All my documentary films, Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture are free right here. Let's get into it. All right, what you're looking at right now are the New York State Travel Advisory Guidelines. Now, I want to point out, okay, just want to point out, here's my little mouse. See where it says New York State all the way up in the corner there? See it? Whoop, over there, up top. You see those two little lines right here? That's where 10 million people are. You see this big thing that's the state? That's where the rest of us are. 9.5 million plus live in this big area and a little bitty bit, 10 million right here in this little bitty bit of land. That's where the majority of the cases are. Despite that, okay, here's where I'm not supposed to be able to go to at all. Okay, at all, because if I go here, now I can be fined if I come home. If I don't want to just stay in and act like I'm sick and be quarantined. It's ridiculous. Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, California, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, just drove through Iowa, Idaho, Kansas, I was on the cusp of Kansas as I was in Missouri, Mississippi, North Carolina, Nevada, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. Now, what's the criteria for this? If 10 per 100,000 residents, okay, test positive, not are hospitalized, but they test positive, Put that in perspective, okay? That's 100 people out of a million. All right, so in New York State's own guidelines, okay, their own guidelines, 100 per 1 million. That means with 2,000 positive cases, you couldn't go there. That's ridiculous. You know how many positive cases there are still in New York that are just undiagnosed because most of it is asymptomatic anyway? Is a ridiculous, arbitrary number that nobody in their right mind would think is correct. However, the fear will continue because now we have one of these people who was in her 30s, and they're not giving her weight, whether she had pre-existing conditions, what they treated her with when she came in, but she went to one of those COVID parties in Texas, and now look, this is what the nurse says. Her last words were, "I think I made a mistake. I thought this was a hoax, but it's not." And again, I've been telling people, not a hoax in the sense it's not real. It's real. And if you are getting sick from it, you want to treat it immediately. But at the same time, if you were really worried about getting sick from it, you should have built your immune system up, right? A little exercise here and there, some vitamins, vitamin D, C, now that those are now viable treatments again, alongside steroids. Just saying. But again, we live in the Alterverse where Cuomo threatens a 2K fine. Again, bring the contact tracers on, brother, because I'm telling you now, I really think this Saturday, I'm going to lounge around here, South Dakota. Maybe I go to North Dakota within the next week. But I'm going to that Iowa kickboxing event. And I'm going to post on social media that I'm there. And it's Michael Nunn versus Pat Miletich. As long as that happens, I'm going to it. I'm going to be there. And then I'm going to come home. And I'll probably be home before 14 days, just so you know. I dare one of your contact tracers to contact me. I'm putting it out there. I want to set the legal precedent because this is ridiculous. Anybody based in constitutional law knows that you cannot arbitrarily tell somebody to detain themselves because you want to, based in no scientific fact whatsoever. I'm not sick. There's been no proof of any kind of asymptomatic spread whatsoever. Not one time. Okay? Nobody who has been asymptomatic has spread this to somebody who got sick. I'm just saying that. They've proven that 0 times. If somebody can prove that to me, please show it to me. Now, in the same sense, remember very early on I was talking about the Boston population of homeless people. 397 tested, or 396, somewhere in that, just under 400. And 146 or 147 of them tested positive, none showing signs. Look at the prison populations and how many asymptomatic positives there are there. Come on. But it's okay. He's funny. We'll put him on. Hey, the governor's, he's in studio with Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, back in the studio. Yeah, we're in phase 4. We're New York tough. We're going to mask up. Now, if people were really paying attention as to what could help us and what a solution, they would be listening to this man. But you're not going to see this stuff in the news. You're going to see COVID party deaths. You're going to see fear-mongering Cuomo and a bunch of nonsense. Guys, thumbs the video up before we get going. Remember, subscribe and share. Join the Burmese Brigade. Here we go. This is the press conference.
11, 13, 15, SCF and GM-CSF, and other inflammatory chemicals like cyclooxygenase, which is blocked by anti-inflammatory ibuprofen, and interleukin, which is blocked by Singulair or montelukast. There's 30 different inflammatory chemicals that are released in COVID-19. Those are the exact chemicals that have been proven to be blocked by budesonide. It is a perfect match. When you overlay what budesonide blocks from being released to what COVID-19 releases, we have an exact match. We have the answer for the problem. But the key is it needs to be given early.
For people that watch this, like you said, you've had a lot of success with it so far. For people that watch this and think, oh, this is the miracle cure, is that the case with this, or do you not want people to get that message?
What I can say is that I have 100% of the patients that I've treated this way recovered. And if you'll look nationwide, statewide, citywide, people are dying from COVID-19. And I believe there are many factors. A person's underlying health is a factor. Kathy's here to say, I have had the worst of underlying factors and I recovered. And so early treatment with the right medicine is key. And so if someone's not being treated, they need to be treated. And they need to be treated early. And the NIH study is looking at people on the ventilator with pneumonia. That's not early, that's late. And that is when someone's already at risk of death. I want my job, whether it's this or any other disease, is to prevent loss of life and limb. And
let's stop. And treating something early is the best way to do it. You know what you don't do? You wait till somebody's on their last legs with pneumonia or on a ventilator to start giving them that treatment. Say, oh no, it didn't work.
To ensure health and to avoid upset health-wise. And this is a disease that's a killer. We have something that works. And it's not just my opinion. It takes a lot for the NIH to do a study. It takes a lot for the country of France to get organized and do a study. And Spain is socialized medicine. It takes a lot for them to do anything, and they're planning on doing a study on it with the exact same treatment plan, inhaled budesonide. So I would not want any of my loved ones to not be treated for a deadly disease. If there's a treatment that's an option, I would want that for them. And I would not want to do what Communist China is saying, which is being the strategy of the World Health Organization. Wait until you're very sick to seek help. If you got mild to moderate symptoms, even if you're positive for COVID, just sit it out. That's a bad idea for any disease. This disease is a killer, and there's a treatment that works. So my message is the right treatment is inhaled budesonide. Use zinc, use an antibiotic to prevent a secondary bacterial pneumonia.
Notice he says antibiotic too, for basically not getting a secondary infection. Now think about that. We've had other doctors, the one out in Dallas, the woman, talk about giving her patients shots of antibiotics. Why is it nobody wanted to treat it with these things early? Isn't that what we should be asking? Why is it that they wanted people to get on ventilators? That ventilators were the focus from the very beginning. Why was it they threatened people with censorship and then used that censorship against medical professionals whenever you weren't lockstep Faucian mindset? And then you watch people both on the left and the right, You saw my video with Rand Paul and the other representative ripping Fauci apart. And Fauci admitting to things like, oh yeah, only about 6% of vaccines actually make it to market. Oh yeah, the average is about 7 years. Oh yeah, we've never made one in less than 2 years. And then you look at the CDC's website, and influenza A and B, one of them which is H1N1, the vaccine worked less than 37% of the time. Less than 37. And then by their own numbers, between both of them, it was less than 50%. And they put that stuff out there. But what is it? Vaccine, control, fear. Vaccine, control, fear. And, I see these people on Facebook just eating and lapping it up when, look, if you're showing symptoms and you're sick, and remember, I believe this to be a real thing, get the treatment, get the steroids, get the antibiotics, get the Z-Pack.
If they're an adult, you can give them a baby aspirin, but the silver bullet of the disease, COVID-19, is inhaled budesonide.
And where does the FDA, where do they stand on
So
this?
the FDA has no approved treatment for COVID-19. So tell that to my patients that are dying. That's what some doctors are telling their patients. That's what some patients are being told by their healthcare system, by their hospital, by their emergency room. Go home, there's no approved treatment. And not given anything but a prayer. And I believe in prayer, but I like the practicals. And this is a medicine that's been out for over 20 years, super safe. It's been used on 2-pound preemie babies in the ICU to the elderly safely. I've used it for over 25 years in my practice. Every doctor uses it without blinking. It doesn't have the risk of hydroxychloroquine, which has been controversial lately because of the potential risk with the heart. This medicine doesn't have that risk, and it's working every time for my patients. My desire is to help save as many lives as possible, either people in front of me or people that I never meet. My goal is to help, and this seems to help everybody that uses it.
Is
So let's just stop it there again. And again, you would think that this would be national news. And I have yet to see, this guy on CNN. I am yet to see this guy on MSNBC. I don't know. Has Fox even picked this up yet? You would think out of everybody, Tucker Carlson may have done this. Who a shout out?
What's the future for you? What do you plan on doing with it? Do you plan on reaching out to the FDA or anybody else to try and say, hey, look what I found?
So I'm currently writing a paper that we're going to submit to the medical journals and the science journals, because this is solid scientifically. And instead of the imaginary models and the imaginary theories that we're going to have a second wave because someone said so, maybe we will, maybe we won't, but the bottom line is there's no science behind what they're saying. And it's anti-science to not treat somebody with something that is working. I'm using something that's scientifically sound, and I'm using good judgment, something that's intuitive for every doctor to use a respiratory anti-inflammatory for a respiratory inflammatory problem. And this works. And
it all sounds very common sense, doesn't it? Yeah, I know. Sometimes XSplit does that, and I'm supposed to double over my mic, and I'm like right up in it. And obviously, you guys have heard me on the Blue Yeti too. I mean, come on. So listen, guys, we need to make this information go viral. Period. 1.5 million, 2 million views. It's not enough. It's not enough. This guy's telling you now. You got symptoms. Demand the damn steroid. Demand the damn steroid. Off insurance. Off insurance. What? He says it costs about $200. $200 for your life? $200 not to be on a ventilator? $200 not to get restricted into a hospital without somebody to represent you? $200. Think about that. My goodness. Let's let him wrap it up here.
I have a success story. You know, if there was a treatment that only worked 50% of the time, that would be better than what's being offered right now, where they say there is no approved treatment. But I'm having 100% of my patients recover. 0% of my patients die. I want to keep my patients out of the ICU on a ventilator if at all possible. I'm having patients that are deathly sick with serious health problems recover. I think it's worth doctors talking to their patients about.
Is she an outlier with cancer, or do you have other patients that are just as sick?
I have other patients besides Kathy Kathy's been wrestling with 2 kinds of lymphoma. She's currently being treated for those, fighting those cancers with chemotherapy, had radiation a month before she got COVID. And so her situation is extreme, but I've had the other extreme patients recover as well. A patient with a 50-year history of smoking, had her chest open for 4-vessel bypass surgery, is being treated for thyroid disease, is elderly, is being treated for high blood pressure, and she recovered entirely. And she said that same thing that I've never heard until COVID-19. I feel better with the treatments. I've never heard that before. Penicillin was discovered by observation. A scientific fact is observable and reproducible. And I have something that's observable and reproducible, and the patients are voluntarily telling me without me asking, I feel better with the treatment. I'm recovering, and my coughing fit stops. My shortness of breath and chest pain go away with the treatment. That's an observation that I've made, a scientific observation. This is all science.
All science. There it is. Dr. Bartlett. He's out of Texas, guys. You can check him out. But yeah, again, I'm all about science. It's so weird. Now, the real question is, why aren't our leaders? Why are the people that are proponents of global governance, the proponents of the United Nations, of the World Health Organization, always so damn hell-bent on putting these decisions into the hands of unaccountable billionaires, banks, and their minions? Seriously. You look at Event 201, Johnson & Johnson, the World Bank, NBC Universal, the CDC in China, the CDC in America, Johns Hopkins, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Why aren't they asking people on the ground, physicians, what's working? What are the treatments outside of a shot that we can give a contract to big pharma for, that we can force upon a people, that we can cause restrictions of their livelihoods. Because we're here, baby. We're here. That's why I'm on the road, right? Because I got to escape. I got to get away from, the hilarious dictator. Comedians love him. Chris Rock loves him. Jimmy Fallon loves him. They love Lord Cuomo. Well, I'll tell you right now, like I said, went through Iowa, made the mistake of getting gas there, opened the gas station, put my hand on the nozzle, went up to the clerk, bought some water. There wasn't some kind of crazy piece of plexiglass in between us. No one was wearing a mask. Oh no, I'm Dr. Danger now. Come get me, contact tracers. Let's see what's up. But I'd love to see Cuomo or maybe Bloomberg walk up to me and tell me how to live my life without their bodyguards. Please, tell me like a man. Come on, you're the big capo. Do it up. I'm waiting. Guys, thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share. Remember, couldn't be doing it without you. $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. Big donors, thank you so much. I am in the South Dakota area. If you know what's up, if you know where I should be, please hit me in the DMs and let me know so I know where to look. Join the Burmese Brigade. Because again, look, this is my film from 2010, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined. And yes, David Rockefeller's no longer with us. But there's Turner, there's Gates, there's Oprah, there's Bloomberg, there's Buffett. Unaccountable billionaires being portrayed as the super best friends as they call for population control. But I'm the harmful content on YouTube. Me. I don't have billions. I'm not calling for population control. You saw me drive through Iowa today. Maybe that's what they're so afraid of. That if they looked at and people saw Iowa, they'd be like, wow, we can't pull that population control myth anymore. No. So again, thumbs it up, subscribe, share. Remember, all my documentary films are free in the playlist section. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture. I absolutely love you guys, and I will see you all on the flip side.